talk about the idea of tools. Every single one of you talks about the idea of applying some sort of tool or technique to make changes in your lives in a positive and constructive way. And we have had many discussions with many of you about the idea of exactly what sort of tools to apply and how to apply them and how to get a result and how to get a manifestation. Now, of course, first and foremost, you are always manifesting something. If you were not, you wouldn't have an experiential physical reality, correct? Correct. So the idea is, you do not have to learn how to manifest. This is automatic. It is built into you as a creator, as an aspect of creation. You do not have to learn how to manifest. What you are simply learning is how to manifest more consciously, to be more aware of how you manifest so that you can manifest what you prefer, instead of manifesting your unconscious beliefs. The idea is to always, first and foremost, recognize that any manifestation that you create, any physical experience you create, is the result of the strongest definitions and beliefs that you hold within your conscious or unconscious mind to be true. Because that is how physical reality experience is created. Physical reality is really nothing but a mirror, a reflection of what you believe most strongly is possible, is probable, is true for you. This exists on both a collective level and on an individual level. In other words, you have a collective agreement about what is highly probable or not in physical reality, and you will abide by that collective agreement to a great degree. For example, most of you, not all of you necessarily, but most of you will agree for the duration of your physical lives that gravity will work. It is as simple as that. You have agreed to that particular physical parameter of experience. And unless you have a specific reason for canceling the idea of gravity and levitating or floating, which many of you might, then you will generally go about your day-to-day activities with your feet firmly on the ground. And that is all you need to understand about that part of the collective agreement. Many of these things are done on a level where you don't have to think about them, so that you can get on with your lives and not have to pay attention every single second to every single thought and every single belief and every single definition that is harbored within your unconscious mind. And that is as it needs to be. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to simply live your lives. You would always be thinking, do I need to take this step? Do I need to take this step? Am I going to stay on the earth? I don't know. I might go floating away. I have to think about this. Obviously, that would take up a lot of your time, and that is something that will not allow you to just experience life in a natural way. You also have an individual component to this agreement, and that means that each and every one of you have a singular theme that you have chosen to explore in this life, and that there may be many variations of the collective agreement that are germane to you, many adaptations that are specific to you and your specific personal theme of exploration that another individual may not necessarily be able to manifest, but you can. There is leeway, in other words, for the individual within the collective bubble agreement. You will stay generally within the collective bubble, but you can vary the idea of what's probable for you as being very different as to what might be probable for someone else to manifest. And this simply has to do with the themes that you chose to explore when you decided to have this life. And yes, you all chose to have a life. This is an issue of choice. It is not something that happens without you choosing it from the spirit level. That doesn't mean you always choose every single detail. But the idea is that you know that physical reality has a capability of providing certain kinds of random events, and that you know that in exploring the theme of your desire, you will allow yourself to gravitate and be attracted to certain kinds, certain themes, certain windows and opportunities of random events that will best serve your ability to explore that theme. How you go about it is really up to you. The idea, thus, then, it is a kind of a combination, as you say in your language, between what you typically call destiny part, is the idea of the general theme you chose to explore in this life. That's like a hallway, and you will walk down that hallway. That is a given. That's your destiny. But how you do it, how you walk down that hallway, fast, slow, against the wall, on the floor, crawling, running, upside down, it is up to your free will to decide what works best for you. How it is that it best fits the theme that you chose to explore, how it is that it best fits the persona that you have created yourself to be. Personality being a construction, like a three-sided prism, of three components. Your beliefs and definitions, your emotions, thought patterns, and your physical behaviors. These three things go hand in hand to creating the artificial projection or construct you call your individual personality for this particular life. The idea thus is that it all takes its cue, the behaviors and the emotions and thoughts all take their cue from definitions and beliefs first. That is the first and foremost tool that you need in your kid, is to understand consciously how to recognize what your definitions and belief of life is all about and what your relationship to life and yourself is all about. And once you begin to have a handle on those definitions and those beliefs, then the idea of manifesting what you prefer becomes more conscious. You become more aware of your capability of making choices, and thus you are free consciously to choose what it is you prefer to manifest. But as we said, physical reality is a mirror. Very much like the idea of a glass mirror on your planet, when you look in the mirror and you see your reflection, if the reflection's face is frowning, you know, you don't go over to the mirror and attempt to make the reflection smile. It will never work. The only way the reflection can smile is if you smile first. But the idea is that many of you have been taught to think of physical reality as something to manipulate, which it's not from the outside. The idea is that as you change, physical reality on the outside has no choice, like the reflection in the mirror, but to change. However, here's where many of you get a little bit stuck. We recognize that what you have created as a physical reality, space-time experience, has a little bit of a time lag, has a little bit of an idea of volumetric space and time. Things take time. So, when you do create a change within your belief system within, the idea is that you will see a reflection from the outside world, but you may not see it right away. The idea is that what you may see first is what we call an echo of what you have already created. The idea being that the same situation may crop up as cropped up before. Now, we know that many of you, when you see the same situation crop up, when you see it appear before you, may sometimes, because of how you're taught to think of yourselves, go into self-recrimination and self-doubt and self-devaluation and say, I must be doing something wrong. Something is wrong with me. Why isn't the outside reality changing to reflect what I know has changed within me? But the idea is there's that echo. And sometimes physical reality will simply give you the same situation, the same set of circumstances that was there before, to give you an opportunity to see if you actually really have changed. Because change, and here's one of the primary tools in the kit, is this knowledge. Change is not about what happens on the outside. It's about how you respond to what happens. It's state of being, not circumstance. So the idea is that if you say you have changed, and a similar situation crops up, that cropped up before when you were in a negative state, and you react in the same negative way to that circumstance, you haven't changed. Therefore, there is no reason for the outside reality to change, because you've just proven with the same old reaction that you haven't changed. If, however, the same situation crops up, the same set of props appears before you, and you respond in a different way, in a way that is reflective of the fact that you really believe you're a different person, then you are proving to physical reality you really have changed. And when you make that proof available to reality, then creation and the mirror can change to reflect a true change within you. So remember, it's not about the idea of what changes on the outside that proves you have changed. It's how you respond to what's going on the outside, even if it's still the same, that proves you have changed. Does that make sense? Yes. Because there is no outside. Physical reality is just a reflection. It's just an illusion. It is just another version of you in whatever state you are in. And if you constantly need to remind yourself what state you are in, that's what the reflection is for, so that you can look in the mirror. And if you see the frown, you can say, oh, that's not what I prefer. I prefer to smile. And thus then, when you keep smiling because that's what you prefer, the mirror will have no choice. But if you make it conditional, well, I'll smile when the mirror smiles first. I'll change. I'll be happy. I'll be happy when my physical reality changes first. Then I'll be happy as a reaction. It doesn't work that way, because physical reality is nothing but a reflection of the state of being you believe is most true for you. So if you choose to be happy because you don't need a reason other than that's what you prefer, then physical reality as a mirror has no choice but to reflect the happiness you have decided is the state of being you prefer without gauging it based on what's going on in physical reality. Because physical reality is just a neutral set of props. Circumstances do not have built-in meaning at all. The greatest gift you have been given by creation is that life, I know this will sound funny, life is meaningless. The point being that you were created to give life meaning, and the meaning you give it determines the effect you get out of it. It is totally neutral unto itself, just a set of neutral props that have no built-in meaning. But it is simple physics. What you put out is what you get back. What you typically call karma in some of your religious connotations. The idea simply is that whatever frequency you give off is the reflection that gets back to you. So the idea simply is that if you understand everything is neutral and doesn't have built-in meaning, then you don't have to react any particular way to anything that happens. Every circumstance and every situation, if you see it as fundamentally neutral, you can then decide, you can make a conscious choice that it must serve you in a positive way. You may not intellectually understand how it will do so, and you don't need to. That's the point. The point is you simply have to trust and have faith that it will, because you know there's no other choice. You know that everything happens in your life for a reason, therefore it must serve you in a positive way, even if you don't intellectually understand how that can be so. And when you maintain that state of being, you will then see, in some way, shape, or form, how the very same circumstance that seemed so negative before can actually serve you in a positive way, because everything can do double duty, because everything is fundamentally neutral. And when you put the meaning in, the positive meaning in, you can only get a positive effect out, even if someone else's intention toward you is negative. The idea, again, being that every single one of you have your own reality. Yes, it seems that you're sharing a reality, but you're actually not sharing the same reality. The only way that you perceive you have other people in your reality by agreement is that you agree to create out of your own energy, out of your own consciousness, your version of them in your reality to interact with. You are actually just your own reality. And even though it seems to be populated with billions of people, that is simply the versions of them you have created in your reality to interact with. So it really doesn't matter what anyone else's intention toward you is. You can decide whether their intention and their vibration and their state of being is appropriate for you, is preferable to you. And when you decide what is preferable, then regardless of anyone else's intention, the energy, being the energy of your own reality, will serve you in the way and in the manner you have deemed it shall serve you because of the decisions you have made. And another person's reality will be experienced by them in the way they have put energy into that reality and meaning into that reality. It's as simple as that. It is simply physics. There is really nothing more to it than that. Let's talk a little bit more about the idea of tools briefly. Again, very important to understand. The tools, just in the same way that you don't have to learn to manifest, it's just about learning what it is you prefer to manifest consciously. Tools, any tool you use to create your life, always works. The tools always work. There is no such thing as a tool of creation that doesn't work. It's about how you're using the tool. That's what makes the difference. So, for example, we know on your planet you have a tool called a hammer. And you know that sometimes you wish to drive a nail into a piece of wood with that hammer. Well, the hammer has two ends. It has the head of the hammer, it has the claw in the back. If you use the claw to drive the nail, you run the risk of bending the nail. That's not the end of the hammer that was designed to drive the nail. It's not that the hammer isn't working, it's that you have it backwards and upside down. The idea, therefore, is if you understand the tool and you use it right side up, face front, you can drive the nail in the way that you need to and recognize that the claw is for the purpose of pulling it out. And when you need to pull it out, you can use the other side of the hammer. So it's all about discernment and learning to use the tools in the appropriate way that they were designed to be used to allow you to manifest consciously and get the result that you prefer. Here is another caveat, however. And I know that this seems strange to many of you in the idea of manifestation. Here is the key, though, a very important key. It will be the last thing we will talk about in this monologue before we open up to the idea of questions and answers. And it is this. The idea is that getting in touch with your definitions and getting in touch with your beliefs to determine what it is that you prefer to manifest must be manifested for its own sake, in the sense of doing the act for its own sake, because that's the state of being, that's the state you prefer for its own sake, with absolutely, here it comes, no expectation whatsoever that what you prefer must manifest. Yes, I know, it seems paradoxical, and it is. But that's the point. The point is you need to use the power of paradox. You need to stay in the balance point. When you attempt to manifest a specific thing with a particular intention, with a particular expectation that it must manifest, very often, many of you are putting conditions on it that if it doesn't manifest, as we said, something's wrong. But if you simply allow yourself to be the state you wish to be for its own sake, simply because that's what you prefer to be, then the things that are germane to that state have no choice but to manifest, whatever they are. But if you insist that they must manifest in a certain way, you're actually selling yourself short, because you don't necessarily have the foresight to know the best way that that thing could manifest. And when you insist that it must manifest in a certain way, along a certain path, you're actually closing doorways through which the manifestation could actually happen in a way that is even greater than you imagined it. So don't insist that the fruition must happen in the way that you have imagined it. Just know that it will happen in the way that serves you best, and simply stay in the state that you need to stay, that is representative of that manifestation, so that the manifestation can find you. Because you cannot perceive what you are not the vibration of. This again is simple physics. If you don't stay in the appropriate state that represents the manifestation will remain invisible to you. Because remember, when we talk about manifesting, you're not actually talking about bringing something to you that isn't already here. Things already exist here and now. You don't have to actually reach out to some endless dimension and endless netherworld to attract something to you and somehow bring it into manifestation in physical reality. It's already in existence. It's already here, because there is only here. There is only now. Look at your watches. Anytime you decide what time it is always now, isn't it? Yes, that's the only time it is. All your watches should simply say now, 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 now. That's the only time it really is, ever. You never say, oh, I think it's then. No, it's now. What time is it? It's now. So there is only now, and things can manifest only in the now. What you call, from your linear space-time illusionary perspective, what you call different moments are actually the same moment from a different point of view. It's the same moment. So everything is here, everything is now, and manifestation is just about allowing you to be the vibration, the proper frequency that will allow you to see that part of the now that was heretofore invisible to you. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as an analogy of changing the channels on your television set. You know that when you want to watch a particular program on one channel, all the other programs available to you at the same time still exist. All you have to do is change your channel to see them. That doesn't mean that the program you were just watching has gone into non-existence. It still exists, but you don't see it anymore because you're no longer on that frequency. Physical reality is structured the same way within your consciousness. Whatever you really wish to perceive, you just have to change your frequency, and you'll be able to see that it's always been right here, right now, forever and ever. It's just a matter of tuning your frequency to the appropriate vibration. And the way you do that most strongly, how? Many of you know. Act on your highest joy. Follow your highest excitement. Follow your bliss. Why do you think this is such a popular phrase in your understanding now on your planet? It's because what you call excitement, what you call joy, what you call love, what you call that particular frequency is your body's physical translation of the frequency that represents your true natural core self. That vibration and anything that contains that vibration is who you really are. So act on it. Move toward it. Go for it, as you say, because that's your true compass needle pointing to your true magnetic north. That's why it's so important to act to the best of your ability on your highest excitement. That vibrational frequency is who you were truly created to be. That's all there is to it. It's as simple as that. Unless, of course, you would prefer that it's more complicated and difficult. But that's your choice. We will not take that away from you if that's what you prefer. But we have heard many of you talk, and it seems likely that the majority of you would prefer things to be a little simpler. Creation is, yes, richly complex, but at its fundamental heart, it is not complicated. It is exceedingly, exceedingly simple.